Why don't you first, give us a little bit of background here on Bill Bratton, and why don't we first start with just stop and frisk and what his actions and his statements have been in terms of his feelings on it.
Well, while he was at the Los Angeles Police Department, where he was chief for about 7 years, the number of stop and frisks in Los Angeles increased by about 50%. And much like the NYPD stop and frisk program, the stops were grossly disproportionately impacting young men of color. So largely Black and Latino men were being stopped, and the percentages were actually just about the same as the NYPD percentages that were found unconstitutional by a federal district court. So, as you know, Bill De Blasio campaigned using language like the stop and frisk program of the NYPD is out of control, and we can police the city and keep it safe in a manner that's consistent with our American values and our constitutional values. Yet he picked someone who was a strong proponent and utilized stop and frisk in his last position.
So what do you think that says about De Blasio, though? Is it highly hypocritical of him that you called it a curious choice, but is it much more than just a curious choice? Should we be concerned about some of the campaign promises that he made and statements that he made, and whether or not he's actually going to fulfill them?
I would say yes to all of that. I think we are concerned, and it is a curious choice. At the end of the day, Bill De Blasio is Bill Bratton's boss, so he gets to decide what the big picture policies of the NYPD will be. Our concern, and hopefully we'll get in a minute to the Muslim mapping program that Bratton promoted in LA, and of course the massive problem of the Muslim surveillance program of the NYPD. In both of these cases, what those of us who continue to work very hard against those programs of the NYPD, what we're concerned about is that will Bill Bratton be enthusiastic in his dismantling or otherwise discontinuing the extent of the use of these programs or discontinuation entirely?
Yeah, well, a lot of people are certainly skeptical. Some people are saying that this new police commissioner looks very much like the old police commissioner, even though so many people are so happy to see Ray Kelly go. And so, before we let you go, Glenn, give us some details here on this, what the Muslim mapping program in Los Angeles was that Bratton tried to get instituted.
The program, as it was described at the time in U.S. Senate testimony by his commander, would have involved monitoring language, culture, social interaction in Muslim communities. And, they call it mapping. That's a more innocuous term than blanket surveillance or spying, which is what the NYPD is clearly doing. But it's very similar. In all intents and purposes, how do you monitor social interactions, culture, without actually spying? So, and what's interesting is even though that program was never actually implemented in Los Angeles, what's so troubling is that Bill Bratton never disavowed it. He said, oh, well, the community is obviously very upset about this, so we're not going to go forward. But he has never said the underlying premise that we're going to spy on an entire religion is a bad idea in terms of being grossly ineffective, but then also it offends our constitutional values of religious freedom and equal protection of the law. And that is cause for great concern.